Hey everybody, Dave here, joined by my buddy Chris.
Hey.
So we just got done filming a playthrough for Ticket to Ride London, so if you want to see that, make sure you click the link in the video description, or we may have one of those little cards up in the corner of the screen. You can go ahead and click on that. It will take you over there to check that out. So what we're going to do is we're going to give some impressions, and then we're going to go down to the board and talk about things in a little bit further detail. So Chris, quick initial impressions, and then we'll talk about it as we are looking at the board.
I did enjoy myself. It's actually quicker than I thought, which I think New York was the same way, but this was a little bit quicker. But I do like the fact that everything is color-coded, and I do like the districts scoring at the end, and it feels like how it should feel. Nothing too weird.
Okay, so my initial impression with this, so I still prefer the big box Ticket to Ride games. This one gives you the definite feel about Ticket to Ride and playing it. I prefer this one over Ticket to Ride New York, which we'll talk about that a little bit more as we're looking at the board in depth. But I do like the I guess if you want to call it the gimmick for this one is the scoring of the districts. I really like that. So and the game is very, very quick playing, and it's super easy to teach. Now, before we look at the board, one of the really cool things is that the rule sheets for these, they end up looking like travel brochures, and they're even folded like a travel brochure. So it's really, you just have a rule sheet that's two-sided that explains how things work, and super simple. It's going to be up, and it's going to get you ready to play in no time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the camera around. We're going to take a look at the board, and then we're just going to give you some thoughts a little more in depth. Okay, so here we have the board to look at while we are, we just got done playing it, so I didn't even clear it off. So the first thing that I want to point out and talk about with this is the fact that in Ticket to Ride London, we do actually have a scoring board that goes around the board. So in Ticket to Ride New York, we did not have that just due to the compactness of the size. So we do get we get a scoring board in here. This is going to help you to be able to determine, okay, where do I need to go to connect the routes on the board. So I like that. But on the flip side, it makes this playing area a little bit smaller than Ticket to Ride New York. So I don't know, Chris, did you feel any issues of compactness, or not so much in this one?
Not so much, no. I was pretty happy with this one.
So the only thing is there's a couple spots, like right in the middle here with Covent Garden, Trafalgar Square, where the locations are, and just graphically, it's really hard to tell that this goes over here. Yeah. Luckily, it's color-coded to be able to relate to that. So there's a couple spots there. So it could be a little confusing when you're looking at the board trying to find your locations. And then here, this one, it's a little bit off to the side, but it's not something that you can manage. But given with these smaller boards, it's hard for you to be able to put a font in the size that you can read. Right. Mm-hmm. This is obviously very easy to read. This is very easy here because they're spread out. But as you get into like the central part of London, as the attractions or places that you're going to want to go to they're closer together, it just makes it graphically a little harder to fit everything in. So that would probably be the only con that I have about looking at the board.
I would agree with that. 100%.
And the other cool thing is, leading in with the theme is the fact that we have double-decker buses over the trains. And
I believe they're a little bit bigger than the...
They are slightly taller, so it seems like it's easier to handle. If you look at even the detail on the sculpts here, we can look on the side. Look, you can actually see the windows on the door and everything else, so that's pretty cool. They did make a chance to look at that. Now, here's one of the things in talking about this game, and Chris, I think I asked you about this. Mm-hmm. We only have 17 buses to work with.
Yeah, that's super
opposed. That's about 1/3 of the number of trains that you would have in the big box game. So you end up having a sense of urgency in this game. Mm-hmm. And so, why don't you talk about that?
Well, I usually do not take destination tickets above what I normally get. And it really kind of impacted my game, I think, because I usually try to rush and try to get somebody to be against their tickets, but it never worked out in my favor. But if you have everything that connects, that helps. I think you had some situations that everything connected.
Well, actually, what happened was my initial ticket that I drew was going to have me go from Big Ben all the way up to the Tower of London. And so I wanted to make sure that I had that connected, and you started filling in spaces that I was going to go. And so as I started coming around this way, I figured, well, I might as well try and take advantage of the district scoring, seeing that I already had Waterloo here and Elephant and Castle. And that's when I had placed that one thing. I'm like, there's no need for me to put those 2 orange ones down, because as I looked here, I had this already done. And luckily you said, all right, I'm going to take that back. And I turned around, put those cards back in my hand, and discarded the 2 wilds to fill in the green. That actually filled in this district where they were connected. And then when I drew the 2 additional tickets, it was going to be from Tower of London over here to Covent Garden. So I'm like, well, that's going to be easy. You know, I didn't see any, I wasn't sure exactly. I already had the tickets in my hand to start claiming these things, so I was all right. And then the other ticket was going to be from Covent Garden to Trafalgar Square, and I figured if I already have to go this here, I only have one more train. So that was why I was actually able to take advantage of the destination tickets. But yes,
right,
trying to get them to lump together, and I believe that's really important with a map this particular size.
Exactly, yeah, because everything is so close together, if you really want to think about that way, that you really have to think about a couple turns in advance. But this game goes so quickly, you have to really think on your feet, and sometimes that's a tough thing to do.
Well, and the bad thing is here too, because of the fact that we only have 17 buses. It's really kind of it's going to take you a long way to go from Tower of London, let's say, all the way over to Baker Street.
One of my tickets kind of did the same thing, and I'm like, I'm not going to spend that much time, because I didn't have enough cards at that point. I'd be wasting probably half of the game just getting the cards I needed for those kind of longer routes.
Mm-hmm. So, anyways, this one, I believe, this is a lot of fun. Even though I do, like I said, I prefer the bigger box game. This one still, I mean, in a pinch, if I want to play a game, a Ticket to Ride, I mean, the playthrough was not very long at all. You got a chance to see like a full game, and that's about how it's going to go. Even with 3 players, 4 players may take a little bit more. When you start playing at the higher player counts, the maps start filling in, and it makes it even more competitive to be able to claim your routes. You saw on my initial turns, I was collecting transportation tickets, and it was a few turns before I even put anything on the board. And I figured at this point I wanted to try and stake a claim, at least in this spot here, so that I had options to go elsewhere. If I needed to go from Big Ben and I want something where up here, I wanted to at least have a spot here. I didn't intentionally do that to block Chris off. But, then it becomes, you're going to have to make sure you claim your real estate, because look at this. There's a lot of these ways where, if somebody comes into Waterloo here and here, it's, unless you go the long way around, you're going to be hard-pressed to connect some locations at higher player count.
That's exactly why I took the smaller ones so quickly, like the first 4 turns, because I needed those spots. And I think you were doing your own thing, and it was hard to...
Yeah, he was placing stuff on the board. So anyways, just... really just a cool, fun Ticket to Ride game. This is gonna, in a small time frame. So if you guys are looking at something that if you're looking for a fun Ticket to Ride game that has a low point of cost entry, because this game is like $20, so it's $20. And you get the double-decker buses, which is really kind of cool. The artwork, you've got some really neat things on here that really lend to the theme. You have the background, kind of reminds me of the old map for Scotland Yard, but you have all of these streets that are on here. It's got this nice kind of like retro with the British flag here. Really lends to a thematic experience and a quick playing time. So anyways, if you're interested in Ticket to Ride London, you can find it. I think right now it's going to be exclusive at Walmart, but you can check around, and eventually it will become available elsewhere if you don't want to go to Walmart, or you can order it from them online if you don't want to step foot in their store. But anyways, right now that's how you're going to be able to get it. So make sure you look for it, and we'll thank you guys for watching it, and we'll catch you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.